What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
It's been still feeling the aftermath of last week.
It was a very busy news week last week.
Yeah.
And now it's like the calm after the storm.
Today is like what Mondays used to feel like.
What life was like before Tan Chuan Jin.
Yeah, that's right. Not just Tan Chuan Jin, the Four Musketeers. The Four Musketeers, right? Because this time last week, Singapore was like, I don't think anyone was doing work in the office.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're recording on Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
But I mean, still a lot of things in the news. Some political, some not so political.
Yes.
Which we will jump into.
Yeah.
But how was your weekend, man?
It was okay. Busy weekend. I think we all there's a bit of work over the weekend. But looking forward to recording this. I think because there's just so many things going on right now that are worth talking about. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just like worth talking about in the sense that for me, like certain things we're going to talk about, I don't even know what to think of yet.
Yeah.
But we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because maybe people out there, I assume people out there are in a similar state where you hear so much in the news, but you're still wrapping your head around it.
Yeah, that's right. But before we jump to that, what's the one thing that we wanted to plug?
Just a invite if you've been listening to the podcast, but haven't checked out our social media.
Yeah,
you can find us on Reddit, on Instagram, and TikTok. Especially Reddit, where it's more vibrant than ever.
Yeah,
people are posting stuff every day, which is great. And yeah, just check it out.
Yeah, do check us out on Reddit.
Yeah, man.
But yes, shall we jump right into it then?
Yes. Okay. So there was a lot of news over the past week about politics, the scandals, the gossip. But over the weekend, there was a sad piece of news that came out. On Friday night, actually, it was something that was reported by the Singapore Police Force online. They issued a Facebook post that talked about the unnatural death of a police officer. And the sad story is that on 21st July at about 4:55 p.m., the police received a call for assistance at a block in Yishun. A 35-year-old man was found motionless at the foot of the block, was unconscious, was brought to the hospital where he subsequently passed away. And this was actually a police officer. And I mean, his name is out. It was Yuvaraj, son of Gopal. And even Shanmugam posted later that night that there was a post that was put up by this individual on Facebook on the day itself that talked about the struggles he faced and the alleged racial discrimination he experienced while at the Singapore Police Force.
Yeah.
So there's been investigations that have been kicked off. His wake was today, his funeral, and Shanmugam attended out of respect.
Yeah.
But it has brought to light a lot of talk about bullying at the workplace and racial discrimination.
Yeah.
But how did you deal with this news? I mean, to come out on a Friday night, right?
Yeah.
Over the weekend, how did you find out about this news?
Yeah, over the news, but the timing wise, don't forget about the fact that last Friday was literally Racial Harmony Day in Singapore as well.
Oh, shit.
So it's racial relations obviously always can be a very tense topic, right? But Friday was supposed to be the celebration of what we have in Singapore, racial harmony. And this, I think, that's why it's quite jarring for people. So to read and hear about this,
Yeah. And I mean, like right now, so there's the person's Facebook post has been taken down. But I mean, if it's sad, it's very sad what he wrote.
Yeah.
There's been corroborated by certain other people who supposedly work at SPF. And feels like there's something going on.
Yeah.
There's something going on. But to be honest, when I read this, I am right now struggling to kind of wrap my head around it because I mean, you read his account, it's fucking sad. It's terrible what has happened, but even like apparently the things he brought up back in even 2015 were investigated, were unsubstantiated. He was posted, I think, to 6 different departments in 9 years at his own request.
Yeah.
So I look at it, I'm like, oh shit. If that happened, it's damn sad, but what's going to happen next?
Yeah. And I think like you're starting to hear the Singapore police force, making statements about what they're investigating as well, right?
Yeah.
About his performance at work and things like that. But the truth is, it is still very early in the process, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to also take that into consideration that we are only hearing one side of the story so far.
Yeah.
And it's been painted as it's quite an ugly picture, right? Regardless. So, it's a difficult read, and the corroborating accounts that you hear from people who worked with him and all that also make it even more painful, right? But at the same time, again, because it's a workplace dispute where we're only hearing one side of it now, I think it's very important that there is a very thorough investigation into some of these allegations. Because some of them, even just coming from the workplace and all that, right? Some of these things about workplace, how you're treated at the workplace, or if you're ostracized and things like that. Oftentimes you hear stories like that, but there's always like another side to the story, right?
Yeah.
About the person's individual work performance and all. I've learned over the years it's very hard to judge, like especially when it comes to your work environment and as well as your personal relationships, right? Whether it's as in your relationship with your spouse or partner or anything like that. There's often two sides to the story. The difference is that in the workplace, that can and should be documented, a lot of the things that happen in the workplace. So I'm hoping that if they do have an investigation and all that they are also very able to be very transparent with everything that's going on and what kind of how they're investigating this whole thing, right? Because anytime the work environment at one of our public institutions is taken into question, it's a very big accusation and needs to be thoroughly verified.
Yeah. And I mean, even now in the news, the certain articles do document the challenges that he had faced over the years. There was coaching to address his performance issues. There was additional leave granted because of his personal issues. There was counseling and psychological assistance afforded to him. He was assigned a para-counselor. So there probably will be a lot of investigations in this, because I think just a few weeks ago there was another article about how the rate of suicides in Singapore is increasing
amongst the youth, right?
Amongst the youth,
highest in decades or something.
Yeah, exactly. And in view of the current climate in general, it just feels like people are fucking stressed. And I think for uniform groups especially, because I remember, right, even in NS, when I was in infantry, you were also in infantry. But when we talk to our friends in the police, right? I know sometimes it's made fun of. You're not hardcore, you never go army. But if you think about it, for their NS, they are doing real life missions, real life raids, and there's one thing about training in peacetime. Like anyone who's been through army in Singapore, you go through the drill, like bang, 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 bang. You literally make the noise with your mouth. I don't know whether that still happens, but right from police, those who went, everyone had a story. And I think there's one thing about everyone's feeling stressed, but frontline workers, especially when there's an element of danger, there's a threat to your life, at least a couple of times. Wow, that can be tough, lah.
I mean, I think you make a good point that it's they deal with real world situations. So it might not even be dangerous, but it can be very disconcerting, very stressful. Like, dealing with domestic dispute. A lot of times, even over the weekend, I was just going out to watch a movie, and this was close to midnight already, and there were police were like trying to hold off two groups of people who wanted to fight in Suntec City. So I was like, Friday night, group of adults, another group of adults, and different, just eager to point out also,
racial harmony or not?
Different races. Two groups of different races of people. So they have to deal with these things. And I just was walking past and I could hear the policeman really trying to calm everyone down, more than anything, and just telling them, let us handle this. I understand you're very emotional, blah, blah. So, yeah, they are almost like para-counselors or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
People who have to be on the ground to like negotiate, to mediate between groups of angry, maybe drunk people. And that must take its toll. It's not, maybe it's not dangerous, but it's having to deal with these kind of really heated situations between people. That could be more stressful than like actually physical danger of like putting out a fire or anything like that. Right?
But that probably I do believe that your tolerance, your patience, your stress is like a muscle. You start off the day, maybe you got a lot.
Yeah.
But slowly over the day, it gets worn out.
Yeah, it gets worn out.
It gets worn out. And then by the end of the day, like, someone says something, you're like, shut the fuck up. Okay? But if you are a frontline worker, as part of your job, that is just wearing you out,
Yeah.
So maybe even after you go back to the office or whatever, something that is not as serious in other people's eyes, it pushes you over the edge. And it's totally understandable. But another thing about this whole thing, which is, it makes it even more tricky, is right now the whole police force is kind of being tainted. Which, I mean, okay, if there's shit happening, sure, it needs to be investigated. And I hope whoever is responsible, if there's enough evidence to show that they were responsible, to be dealt with.
Yeah.
But the SPF, for them to, it's like everyone is implicated.
Yeah, correct. It is.
And it doesn't help that the person at the top of the food chain for police force is Shanmugam.
Ministry of Home Affairs.
Yeah, Ministry of Home Affairs. Yeah. Because, of course, there's the controversies of late. But online, I'm seeing a lot of chatter saying that, okay, whatever he's saying now about the investigation is for show only, because he cannot bear to lose face or something. Then I'm like, wow, that's another layer to this thing, which is like almost unnecessary.
But do you think it's valid though? Because I mean, I saw the news of him going to the funeral and everything, right?
Yeah.
To pay his respects to the deceased. But I mean, that's part of his job scope, right? To have to take care of this issue and all.
Yeah.
So do you think that criticism of him, because there was a whole Ride Out Road controversy and all that, and him being in charge or saying that this needs to be investigated, is that a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. And I don't think the criticism is valid also at this point.
Yeah.
Because you take away the whole Ride Out gate, you take away all that shit. If he's saying what he should be saying.
Yeah.
He's doing what he should be doing.
Yeah.
So this, to me, is a clearer example where, okay, whatever happened with that fucking Ride Out shit, it's personal. At this point in time, it's not affecting my perception of what should be done.
Yeah.
But for you?
No, so yeah, I think I was looking at some discussions of people like, oh, how come he's going to the funeral and things like that, right? And I think some people were pointing out that that is still better optics than if the police themselves went down to the funeral or whatnot, right? Because at least this shows that it's at a higher level of someone caring about the issue, and it's someone who has the power to also really investigate this issue, right?
Yeah.
Overseeing the police force and everything. Whereas if it was someone from the police force or who went down, it might be seen as very insensitive, given the nature of what he was complaining about everything. So in some sense, I thought that was hard to say that it's kind because of the tragic circumstances, but necessary, right? And the right thing to do for Shanmugam to go down there, and so kudos to the MHA for doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very tricky spot now where every step they take will be very heavily scrutinized.
As in they meaning
the police, the police.
Oh, the police.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, certain things like when you see certain Facebook posts, some of which are not available anymore, it really makes you go like, oh my god. And Yuvaraja apparently posted it like with a sign-off message, and it's fucking sad.
Yeah.
And then it just makes you wonder, like, let's say you read that post. He clearly was passionate about his job. To write that sort of note on a social media platform, it's not the easiest thing to write also.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he wrote it, he signed off, he said bye, it just makes you feel like, okay, this wasn't an impulsive thing lah. It was a build up lah.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, oh shit, like whatever was done, because there is the thing, right? Even in your personal life, you might think you're helping someone, be it your partner, your friend, and all, but you might be doing more harm. Like you can offer help,
Yeah.
but if it's not actually helping them, does that count, lah? So in this case, it's like, it's just a very tough read or tough thing to think about, lah.
Correct. Yeah. So difficult one, and I understand we talk about workplace on that, but at the same time, a lot of these uniform groups are right, the military, the police, and all, more so than most regular jobs that you and I do, right? The identity is embedded within, the identity, the sense of self is embedded within their job. It's literally what they wear to work every day, the uniform and all. So there's probably even a sense of like, feeling betrayed by, your occupation and betrayed by this group that you thought you were part of, right? That he felt as well, which, it's tough, man. Tough for someone who, you can tell this guy is really passionate about his vocation and his work, right?
Yeah.
And to, in some sense, feel that kind of rejection that he felt, as you can read in his letter, it's a damn tough thing.
But that's why, like what you said, it's a tricky spot, because at this point, not to say play devil's advocate or something, but I remember of last year, there was one case where there was someone who was also working in the police force who quit, or something along the lines of like she was pregnant, but she had a poor performance appraisal, and she went online and she got a lot of like positive feedback, like saying, you were discriminated against. But I remember when we did the podcast, we looked at it, we were like, oh, you were pregnant, I think 4 times in 6 years. And it didn't feel as one-sided as it was when you read the news. That, she was wronged by the organization. So in this case, of course, the investigation is still ongoing. I wouldn't even want to fathom the fact that, his claims were unsubstantiated. But I think it's also important that the investigation hopefully yields something. Whether or not it's done by the best people, I don't know. Whether it's done by an independent party, I don't know. But it also has to have some weight. In the sense, like, is SPF automatically guilty? I don't know.
But it's really workplace kind of disputes. It's where it's very much a he say, she say situation. That's why I'm hoping that if anything, there's more black and white documentation of what happened, right? Because the truth is, the public, I think over the weekend, the public has become very interested in this story because of how tragic the circumstances of his death were, plus how public the suicide note and everything was, plus all the corroborating accounts that are coming from people who worked with him. So it's cast this spotlight on the police force and their processes and everything like that. And because the other thing is when you read the note and all, it's so specific, right? It's so specific, naming individuals, naming what exactly happened in what instances and things like that. So it's like, that this guy has gone through a lot of trauma based on those instances that he recounted.
Yeah, because he literally says the name of the people who have all been like identified, and like people are already critiquing them. I think one of them was a scholar, and it immediately feels like, these are the people in power. They are part of the messed up elite or something like that. Which, I mean, it might be true. They might be totally guilty, but it feels like, oh fuck, there is something here that is wrong, that is broken.
But that's why we have only heard one side of the story, right? And from all those other people who are named and everything, like for them it's not easy to deal with as well, right? Whether it's for them or their families or anything. So it's such a difficult situation to get through, man.
And I mean, like, apparently, like, he also was facing tensions with his own family.
That's right.
So at the core of it, it just feels like, okay, here's a Singaporean guy, one of us, who was going through a rough time at work and at home, and unfortunately decided to end his life, which is just fucking sad, But if you step back, you look at the general sentiment of everyone feeling a bit more squeezed, or at least large parts of society being very squeezed.
Yeah.
You just feel like, oh fuck, like the stress is mounting, man. The stress is mounting, and I don't know, man. Just talking about it, last week it was bitter, but it was entertaining to a certain extent. But this one is just like, wow, it's sad lah.
It is, yeah. And I mean, not much we can also add to the conversation that much because it's still a very developing story, lah, right?
Yeah.
But I think all in all, it's like, yeah, workplace disputes. That's the thing about work, lah, right? It's, although we talked today about trying to get work-life balance and things like that, at the end of the day, work is still such a large part of everyone's identity because we spend so much time every day doing the things we do at work, lah, right? And when you tie that so closely to, your self-belief and your self-confidence and things like that, it could be just one bad day at work or one bad semester or one bad year at work or something like that. And that just ruins your whole outlook on life, lah, and leads you down this really dark path. And that's why, it's important to, just have a reality check or sanity check once in a while with friends and all. To understand also, the job you're doing, sometimes it's still a job, right? And there are larger things in life to also think about.
Do you know anyone personally who was like, you saw them change when they entered a certain job?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people, right? Like they get, if they don't like their workplace, a lot of times, sometimes even just a bad boss, one bad boss in the organization, and that ruins the whole thing for them really, and it can have very, very, very bad effects on their mental health and all. Yeah.
But then Terrence, what about the older generation? They would say, Terrence, just suck it up, lah. Okay?
Yeah.
You think our time don't have like bad boss, don't have bad colleague? Don't be so sensitive, lah, Terrence.
No, I mean there definitely is an element to pushing yourself and challenging yourself and opening up yourself to not say conflict, lah, right? But dealing with challenging situations or people. But it depends on the hierarchy of the organization and how much power you have to report or push back or anything like that, lah. And you and I have been through military service, where maybe the culture is different now, but back then we know the culture was very hierarchical, right? And essentially, if you had a grievance about something happening at in your unit or in your chain of command and all that, one of the last things you would think about doing is calling some SAF hotline and reporting it, because your life will be like crap for the next few months or the remaining months of your NS days, right? So I don't know. Hopefully these things have evolved and changed with time, but I would still say just sucking it up is not the best advice to get, right? When someone's dealing with a workplace issue.
Yeah, especially in this day and age. I mean, the workplace, there's probably bullying and toxic workplaces more than people imagine. But I think in companies like what you say, where the hierarchy is part of the culture just by virtue of the rank, that does make things more tricky, because without saying a word really, you are put on a hierarchy,
Yeah, correct.
Which unless like every guy listening to this, you would have been through army. Maybe some women been through uniform group experience, and it immediately sets up a power dynamic.
Yeah.
Right. So all the more organizations that are based with very clear hierarchies, they do need to do more to make sure that, okay, these power dynamics are not exploited.
Yeah, and the processes and everything are documented properly.
And I mean, at the end of the day, like if you know anyone or if you yourself are struggling, like there's a bunch of resources out there, which I mean, we will also put in this episode description. Just over the past week, I heard someone else tell me that when they lost their brother to suicide, they also it's something I thought that never leaves them. Like, how come we didn't pick up on it?
Yeah.
I think that person also. We were both in the room and the person told us that. We're like, oh shit, actually, you never know. And sometimes in this world where everyone is almost incentivized to paint your facade of happiness, it's hard to detect.
Difficult, yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah.
Man.
Speaking of not following I mean, okay, speaking of processes, right? And following protocol and things like that, which is like clockwork in a military organization or a uniformed organization. Someone did not follow protocol when they were up north in Malaysia for a concert. And that has kind of spoiled everyone's party. Pardon the pun. Spoiled the party for a lot of people. And what is this incident that happened there?
I believe it was also over the weekend on Saturday, at the other extreme of what we discussed about the first topic that happened on that Friday.
Okay.
It was something that happened during the Good Vibes Festival.
Yeah.
Which is a 3-day event that was set to run from Friday to yesterday, Sunday in KL.
Yes.
That was going to feature, I think, like a multitude of acts. It's like a music festival, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So on Saturday night, there was a band playing, the 1975. And during the performance, the lead singer, Matt Healy, kind of went on a spiel about his thoughts on Malaysia.
Yeah.
And how it was it's run by a bunch of he was basically shitting on the Malaysian government. And then after that, he made out with his co-bandmate.
Yes.
A man.
Yeah.
Same-sex kiss.
Correct.
And I think the next day, the whole festival was cancelled.
Yeah. The entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Because 1975 headlined Friday, right?
Oh, the headline Friday.
Yeah,
correct,
so Saturday
yes.
and Sunday ended up getting cancelled entirely.
Yeah. So, I mean, and like some big names, the Strokes were the main event over the weekend.
Yep.
And Australian singer Kid Laroi.
Yeah.
And then the Ministry of Communication in Malaysia, they came out and said that they were, while they were committed to supporting the development of creative industries and freedom of expression, never touch on the sensitivities of the community, especially those that are against the traditions and values of the local culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently also earlier this year in March, the government did introduce stricter guidelines when it comes to dress code and conduct for any foreign acts coming to Malaysia.
Yeah, correct.
So you look at it, you're like, wow.
How do you feel? Fun fact, the 1975, they also performed in Singapore.
Oh, is it?
Before this, yeah. They were here for one night only. Nothing.
As in
like,
this few
yeah,
weeks?
this round before anything. And the update was that the 1975 cancelled its shows in Jakarta and Taipei as well.
But they came to Singapore.
That was because that was before the Good Vibes Festival, right? So,
Do you know of the 1975?
Yeah. I do. I know a couple of their songs, yeah. And they've done some nice covers on that BBC One channel that I always talk about in my One Shiok Thing.
Yeah. So you ask me how I feel. I'm just thinking, like, if that happened in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
Would the same thing have happened?
Can you imagine if it like day one, February 2024, day one of Coldplay's series of six concerts?
The opening act.
The opening act does something, and then it ends up getting all 6 shows cancelled. Wow, you can imagine what kind of riots
I think
there'll
Taylor
be.
Swift, first Taylor Swift one, there's something happened. I mean, I would imagine in Singapore I don't know whether they would cancel it in Singapore.
Don't know, man. Don't know. Fun fact again, like with all the controversy about F1 going on with Iswaran and Ong Beng Seng being arrested by CPIB, over the weekend or late last week, the F1 organisers came out and said the F1 will proceed as normal. You know, so regardless of whatever is being discussed or investigated, nothing will happen there. But you're saying that in
maybe
Singapore,
if Iswaran and Ong Beng Seng had a same-sex kiss, then there might be something different. Like right now they get arrested, CBIB, okay you all do your own thing.
Yeah.
But this one was at the event, no.
But what do you think of that? That we last year I think we talked a bit about this, about the World Cup, right? Being in Qatar and I think there were players, or the players wanted to wear like rainbow armbands at one point, and then later they shelved the idea, and there were all these controversies about I think a journalist, LGBT journalist, who also had something happen to him during the tournament and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So there were all these talks about should the should the players be protesting against the host country that they're invited to play in, right? And basically going up against the laws of that place that you are visiting, which is essentially what the 1975 has done here, right?
Yeah.
They have been invited to come to Malaysia, to places like Jakarta, where LGBT rights aren't as liberal already, right? Aren't as liberal. But they decided, the band decided, okay, we're just gonna put it out there that we don't support whatever's going on here, right? What do you think of that?
I mean, so in this way, I think 1975 fucked up lah. Because like according to what's in the news, the festival of organizer Future Sound Asia, they said that the 1975's management had promised that the band would obey performance guidelines, of which I assume same-sex kissing is not allowed lah.
Yeah.
And Healy did not honor those assurances. And I mean, I think he was quoted as saying that, I made a mistake when we were booking shows. I wasn't looking into it. I don't see the fucking point of inviting the 1975 to a country and then telling us who we can have sex with. So if that is the case, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, even though I disagree with the cancellation, you can't fault them, I guess. Because if it was laid down as like, okay, these are the performance restrictions.
Yeah.
You you forgo it, you go past it, then like what else can the authorities do?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of pushback as well from people in the LGBTQ community who are saying that this whole very performative activism actually kind of like creates more stigma around the community, more anger and stigma against the community than before, which is true, right? I'm sure there are a lot of people, not just performers, but the people attending as well, who are really pissed off that the festival got cancelled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who's there to blame, right? You can blame the band and all, but generally now the band is associated with activism for LGBTQ rights. And
you can imagine the anti-LGBTQ rights activists or even the leadership, right? They'll be like, you see what happens.
Yeah.
You see what happens.
Yeah.
So you can understand why there's backlash, because it clearly flouted the restrictions, and it put into not just the attendees,
Yeah.
In festivals like this, there's a lot of vendors.
Yeah, correct. That's right.
Who are banking on the customers to buy their burgers or buy their t-shirts and shit, and everyone is fucked. Like there've been some videos of some of the acts who are performing in their hotel lobbies and all.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But for the vendors, they're kind of screwed, man.
Yeah. And this is off the back of the seismic announcements and subsequent craze of 6 concerts in Singapore by Coldplay, 6 concerts in Singapore by Taylor Swift. What was it? Is it 8 or 9 or 11 nights of
Jackie
Chung?
Yeah.
And we were asking what makes Singapore. I think during that period we were all in our heads was like, what makes Singapore such a
concert hub?
Yeah, concert hub. Such a what do you call it? Attractive destination for these singers and bands and everything lah. And I mean, voila. Like here's the reason.
But
here's one of the reasons.
But this has nothing to do about Singapore being attractive. Right?
No, nothing to do with Singapore being attractive.
Yeah.
But
obviously they're damn strict there.
The risk when you go to other countries, right? They are stricter when it comes to these things than Singapore, right?
But you never know. We've never had a same-sex kiss during a performance in Singapore. So probably what is happening now, they're emailing Chris Martin. Chris, can we get on a call with you very soon just to go over the guidelines? Do not at any point in time make out with any of your male bandmates. Taylor Swift's team also getting a lot of Zoom calls. Just to be very clear, do not make out with anyone of the same sex. I think the thing, Taylor Swift and Coldplay, they've been doing this for so long and big concerts and everything, right? And so far, I haven't heard of any kind of controversy like that from them. So generally, probably quite safe, I would imagine. Because let's say they come here and they speak out against a law in Singapore that in itself within Singaporeans is controversial. Let's say the death penalty, or the super strict stance on drugs and all. In some way, then you're making it political.
Correct. Yeah.
You're making the show political.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine them not suffering any consequences.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, fortunate or unfortunate, that's probably also part of the reason that the concert organizers and bands and everything are probably choosing what they believe to be the safest place to hold a bunch of concerts.
Yeah.
And they put the onus on, people from around the region who want to see us in concert. Please come to this one place as opposed to we go to your place, and shit like this happens, right? Where another band says something stupid and then we get cancelled, right?
So the festival in Singapore is like, yo guys, we the bomb, man. We the bomb.
Yeah.
Because apparently back in May, there was a calls from the Islamic Party, the PAS party in Malaysia to cancel Coldplay's concert. And then another PAS MP recently called on Malaysian government to control number of concerts by foreign artists like Blackpink. So Singapore is like, okay, go ahead. Wait, come on to us, man.
We'll take them all. Yeah.
Maybe,
how many you want? 6, 9, 11? Tell us. We have a special price for you. Yeah.
You buy 6, you get one free.
Buy 6, get one free. Buy 5, get one free. That's why they did 6. Yeah.
Maybe it was the forward-thinking process of someone in Singapore who was like, okay, Malaysia, Indonesia, getting more conservative, At some point, with all these Western acts getting more liberal, right? There's going to be a clash.
Yes.
We need to capitalize on that clash.
Yeah.
We are conservative, but we will appear liberal. Bring these people here, get all their money, and become the hub of concerts in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's really something that
the
was
Forward Singapore plan,
not say the Forward Singapore plan, but probably the sports hubs plan to make themselves more attractive as well, right? Like a lot of these Western acts, so to speak.
Then you see like luxury service apartments popping up around the sports hub. The Coldplay building, the Coldplay resort.
Yeah.
The Taylor Swift Taylor Land or something like that. Taylor Land.
We offer them theme
residencies.
Residencies.
You got Las Vegas residency.
Yeah.
You got Singapore residency.
Yeah. That means they stay right next to the sports hub, and then then they hang out at Kallang Wave Mall during the day. Then after that, they can walk over to the stadium at night.
Yeah, exactly. Go run in the fountains. They close off the public fountains for Chris Martin and Taylor Swift all to run around. Were they ever dating? Don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. But yeah, like you look at this, you're like,
Yeah, and I think there was one specific singer who wanted to dedicate a set. She was performing at the festival.
The Malaysian singer, right?
Yeah. And then she wanted to
Talita
dedicate
or something.
Yeah, she wanted to dedicate a set to her recently passed away mum and now she can't because the set has been cancelled entirely and everything.
I think the 1975.
So a bit selfish right, that kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, they could have still done it like on their own platform or something after the concert or after the whole weekend was done, right? But they chose to do it. That also affected the livelihoods of all the musicians before and after them, right?
Yeah. Basically pissed off a lot of people, not just the government, but a lot of people.
Yeah.
Definitely
not. I think they've been banned permanently from performing in Malaysia anymore.
Confirm.
Yeah. But do you think? But so in that case, if they want to come back to Asia and they want to come to Singapore, do you think Singapore will take them in?
But they're very strict rules. Like you have to stay 2 meters away from your bandmate at any point in time.
There'll be guards on stage.
Yeah, if you get close enough, you will get a mini tase,
They wear shock collars.
Shock collar. Yeah, anytime you perform how much you want, but in the audience just got some people from NCCY and all just like, okay, we're getting close. Bam! Just zap him.
Just a reminder.
Yeah, just a reminder. We are watching. We are watching. You don't do stupid shit.
But actually, I think even more than that, like it might look, I don't know, maybe for Singapore, it might not look very good to let someone who, is practically banned from Malaysia
come to Singapore.
Just come, and then, come and perform here.
Have we not done that before? Feels like we have.
But this one is such a sore point, you see, because they literally were in Malaysia and then did something stupid and then now got cancelled. Then now Singapore say, oh, come in.
Oh yeah,
Seems
because
a bit off, right?
because Singapore, we do have a conservative section of society,
Yeah.
and I can imagine if we are inviting a band that has done
Publicly flouted laws, right?
and publicly had a same-sex kiss, confirm some groups in Singapore will be pissed off.
Yeah, they would.
Confirm.
Performative activism. Sigh.
Performative activism. I
But
thought
yes.
performative activism only happens in Parliament.
Let it go, Harish. Let it go.
let it go,
We
let
already
it go.
move on to a new week.
No, but
already.
it's like we are a week away from the next Parliament sitting.
Oh yes, that's true.
We are a week away.
a whole week away.
So if you're listening, remember the order paper will come out like on the weekend or something about the topics that are being discussed.
Yeah.
If you want to go, remember your 3 times 20 cents,
Yes.
20-cent coins.
Yes.
And yeah, man.
Well, yes. That's a heavy episode. But moving on to, what is your one Shiok comment?
One Shiok comment. Let me pull it up. Do you have something?
I think just one in the comments of the episode 416, our recent one about Tan Chuan Jin and Cheng Li and all that. I think there was just a discussion started by Apprehensive Nail 971. Imagine if Leon Pereira and Tan Chuan Jin went out for a quiet drink now and ran to each other at a bar. Or Cheng Li Hui and Nicosia ran to each other at a nail salon or whatever. So, it sparked a bit of a discussion, but then it also came up that Tan Chuan Jin was known to be, this was from Jungle Jimbo, that Tan Chuan Jin was known to be quite friendly with Pritam. And, there was even a photo of them having lunch together and things like that. So that was a little detail that I think I probably just completely forgot or overlooked that, right? They're not necessarily all adversaries in Parliament.
Yeah.
They can be friends outside. And even saying something like fucking populist to someone else. Now in the context of that, maybe they're all also friends and buddies and things like that.
Joking about it.
It could have been, right? Like sometimes when you say, wow, fucking asshole, you're a fucking asshole to me, or vice versa, and things like that. It's a joke, right? It's a joking comment. But yeah, just this angle of like them possibly being friends, and that was like a just almost sarcastic kind of thing. Fucking populist.
It's like WWE or UFC where you come out on stage
talk
like
shit. Yeah.
But by right after that you go pee next to each other.
Exactly.
You know, hey James, what's up? And then James was like, I can't believe you said that. Dude. You're a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking populist. You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that I think has been lost in the context of the last 2 weeks, right? When everyone's so outraged by it,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good reminder that actually they do probably also talk to each other outside of work officially as well.
I think there was some articles that were written like when the US politics was getting so polarized. I can't remember. There was one account from a politician from like the 80s or 90s, and they said gone are the days where after every parliamentary Senate debate or anything, we would all go out for a meal together. I think now the US is too fractured already.
Yeah.
But maybe Singapore hasn't reached that state yet.
Maybe not. Yeah. They can go and lim kopi together. And things like that. Yeah.
After their respective like late night meetings, they meet up for supper.
At McDonald's, Tan Chuan Jin next to McDonald's after
And where? 26 right out. Perfect for parties.
Big party.
Okay.
yeah.
My one Shiok comment is someone who pointed out original poster 2020 who said I have to share this. They shared a photo on Instagram by a local content creator who we have highlighted before, the Mockingbird, the satirical news. They did a post where they graded the resignation letters of Tan Chuan Jin.
Oh, yes.
So it was just funny. It's like a teacher they got red marks and all. Like in the resignation letter, the Dear Prime Minister Lee is written out, right?
Yeah.
So they circled that and they said avoiding word count ? And then recently I made a mistake and then they underlined understatement. And then the line some have also called for my resignation. They underline some, then they put all. So it's just funny lah. It's just it's great, man. It's great. So kudos to them. Cool. And
cool.
then your one Shiok thing.
My one Shiok thing is over the weekend Lionel Messi not started, but he debuted for Inter Miami in the MLS. And he came on, I think, the 50-something minute. And the amazing thing is that he actually scored the winner of the game in the 93rd minute of the match. And it was a classic Lionel Messi free kick from outside the penalty box. And everyone erupted lah. You can see the celebrations. Serena Williams,
Kim
Kardashian, they were all in the audience. LeBron, I think, was there also. So it was just like quite a debut lah, and it really shows you like we've lost Lionel Messi from the top most competitive leagues in Europe, but he can still do amazing things where he is in MLS. Yeah.
But I also found out like Inter Miami is last in the league.
I don't even follow the MLS to be honest.
But then, then it makes me think like, what is Messi's motivation? Is it because he won the World Cup and he was like, maybe internally he was like, once I win the World Cup, I've done enough lah. I'm just going to go out on a high. I'm not going to try and compete with the best because I've reached my pinnacle. Now I just want to leave my legacy lah. Because he's making a shit ton of money from this lah.
And conquering new markets getting his face, his name in a very big market, right? That where soccer, or football is probably only the 4th most popular sport, right?
And I mean, the people following him there's Sergio Busquets, who was like my one Shiok Thing a few weeks ago. The Dani Alves, I think, or Jordi Alba, another Barcelona legend who's going to Inter Miami. So kudos to David Beckham and his team for structuring this.
There's even negotiations of, I think, Suarez. They're thinking of getting Luis Suarez as well, which would be crazy.
But that's the interesting thing, right? Like, there's an exodus of players, both West and East from the Europe. Now there's people going to the US, and now there's people going to the Middle East. There's a lot of high-profile players are going to the Middle East.
I think it's good. I think it's good that the concentration.
It's not centralized.
Concentration of power, and even the audience, you have more options to choose from.
But then you cannot watch everything. Then you watch like I don't know whether it's good. Don't know.
You like centralized authority deciding everything for you.
I think it's good in the long-term perspective. I do agree. Like, it reduces the inequality of football around the world. But then like last time we watched the El Clasico. Like the Man U Liverpools or the Man U, so.
But it kind of works out now, right? That means when you watch El Clasico, it's a new generation of players.
True.
Whereas if you want the old stuff, if you want to live in the past, then you go to MLS or Saudi Arabia to watch that. Right? Okay, kind of
all these
evens
people past their prime. Okay, so my one Shiok Thing is a Dutch study that shows that certain species of birds, more specifically the corvid, which I think, and corvids and crows and magpies. There's been a lot of anti-bird spikes that have been put around countries like in Netherlands. But now the birds have started using these anti-bird spikes to build their nests.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's a big FU to all this anti-bird spikes. Like, because normally they would take branches and all. So now they take branches, but they also take these bird spikes off to build their own nest. So I thought, and you look at the nest, it's like what you would imagine, like a combination of twigs, branches, and anti-bird spikes.
It's like a bird fortress. Kind of.
And they're like, okay, you're just giving us more materials. So screw you all. I'm going to take your shit.
Wow, power. That's nature taking over.
In some way, one of the anti-bird mechanics is chicken wire. So the birds are using chicken wire.
The irony.
To build their house. So
why is that so shook for you to see this?
I mean, it's just nice to see like I think it's always so awesome to see birds or like any animal display like a level of intelligence that shows like some sort of consciousness. Because we haven't been able to prove like how intelligent they are. Maybe they are different sort of intelligence. And this one almost feels like you can imagine them talking. If they could talk, they're like, you want to stop us from loitering? You know what? Screw you all. We're going to build our houses with what you do to show you who's boss.
Wow. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Cool,
man.
Nice.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.